Seems like it might be drinkable.
It is, eh? Both the goals of making whiskey, as you can see, and follow the journey. Here's the grain. We're making whiskey, guys.
This one is the Scottish heavily peated malt. So if you smell it, it will smell a bit smoky.
Yes.
And peaty.
Oh my gosh.
And this is the other base malt that we're using. And the split that we're doing is 30% peated malt and 70% ale malt.
This is the smoky one, which is very peaty. Yes, it's definitely nice and smoky. And Mr. James is kind enough to let us into his place, making some whiskey right here in the cave.
Essentially, I'm going to clean this out. We're going to pitch some fresh water in here, get it up to 64 degrees. So this guy is called a work tube. Essentially what we're going to do is pour 13 liters of water in here. We need our false bottom, which just creates a barrier between the pump, the thermostat and everything. This drops inside here. And we are pretty much
ready to start. So that's Newlands spring water.
Alright, so now we can turn it back on. I'm just going to set the temperature back down to 68 degrees.
So it's going to boil and keep the temperature consistent at 68 degrees.
Yes.
The little man. See the little man.
So we're on 25 and it heats up pretty quickly. So the reason why we overheat the water, we want it to run at 64 degrees, but I'm setting it to 69 because when we pitch the grain, it's not sitting at 60 degrees already, so it's going to drop the temperature.
Yeah, because it's always coming in cold.
Yeah, so we heat it up to, and there's a calculator to actually work out the difference in temperature that you need to do. So
based on the weight of the grain that you're putting in.
Correct.
Yes.
And the temperature, ambient temperature of the grain. So we've got it set to 69.70, so that by the time we've finished pitching all the grain in, it'll level out at about 64.
Nice. The science, all right?
Yeah.
The science.
That's the geek bit. I'm going to put the tin foil on, and the reason I do this is when pouring in the grain's quite messy.
Yeah.
So it just stops it going down the side and it keeps it in the tube. Put it on.
Nice trick.
Just a little kind of bit of a hack. When you're making beer, during the mashing stage, you can create a light-bodied beer or a full-bodied beer. And all of that comes down to the temperature that you mash the grain at. So modifying the temperature between sort of 63 and 67 degrees is the difference between creating a full-bodied or light-bodied or medium-bodied beer.
Wow. Yeah. And as opposed to rum and whiskey?
So with that, it's more about the grain. So this particular grain that we're using, reading the specs, they recommend mashing at 64 degrees.
Okay.
Stick into that. Where people are using just one single grain, you know, if you wanted, for example, the Freud style where it's like super heavily peated. If you were doing this at a big enough volume, you could order your malt from the supply, or even make it yourself, like some distilleries do. They malt their own grain. You can actually dial in the degree of smokiness that you want right from the onset. 33 degrees. It was 24 or so when I put it in. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind
what.
Alright, so all we need to do now is mix this in, and I do it a little bit slowly because if it goes too fast, what we do is you get dough balls, and now you can see why I've got the tin foil around it. So dough balls are no good because essentially it stays dry inside the ball.
Yeah,
And-
only the outside is.
Yeah. Go. Kind of at the right rate for it to flow through the grain bed. And we have to now leave that for 90 minutes. So it's 10 to 3. So this is the heating part of the stove. I'm using it right now just to create or to heat up something that's sparge water. And the reason you use sparge water is once you finish mashing the grains, so converting the starch to sugars, you lift it out and you just run some fresh water through it, just to rinse the last bit of liquid off the top of the grain bed, so that you maximize your output. That is now all the spent grain. That's done. That's compost.
So you're saying you're doing here?
So this last little bit that I'm doing here is a 10-minute boil, which you normally don't have to do for a whiskey. But what I'm wanting to do is just kill off all the wild yeast that might be there. So that the yeast that I'm adding specifically is going to create what I want, which is a whiskey yeast, a proper flavored whiskey yeast.
That honey liquid right there. Oh,
Yeah, it is.
gold. Yeah.
I mean, it's normally more submerged
Cold on this end
and
and
reasonably hot on that end.
reasonably warm on this end because it's coming out of there.
This
Okay.
is just the cooling mechanism. 81 degrees. It cools down pretty rapidly
Yeah, it is. It's an 80 now, 79.
because this vessel isn't big enough. I've had to break it into 3 15-liter batches
Oh, so you have 45 liters, but
in
then
total. So that's what I'm aiming for. It's also, what this is there's a circulation pump internally which helps.
continue moving the liquid around, so everyone gets a chance basically.
Pretty much. Yeah, so that was sterilized with iodine so that we don't get any things growing in there that we don't want.
Nice.
So last night, this is kind of the main column, so normally you can just leave it empty, and I guess in a pure pot still world
yeah,
you probably would. But what I do is I've got this, which is copper packing. It's just pure copper rolls, and
there's our ale. I've got all the tools coming together.
So it's probably like half full now with the copper packing.
Yeah, I can barely see it also.
Area I struggle, so if you can maybe hold that
Okay.
more or less in place there.
Everything made in the cave. So dope. That is crazy. And the collar all the way up. Comes down. And there we go. Some blankets, keep it warm.
This, the insulation around here is also just to help keep the, so we control the flow from the top and hot water out the top, which goes into the tanks.
Okay. And just so you know, guys, it's pure rainwater, recycled water, not tap water. That's why we have a pump coming from the tanks. And there's the tanks. Collected rainwater.
Being able to identify heads, hearts and tails. Some people can just smell.
Yes.
They know. I don't.
So is that where you're obviously numbering as it started?
So that was all as they were coming off the still.
Yes.
And I mean, we can, to me, actually that one actually smells a bit rum-like.
Yeah.
And it could be because I didn't completely sanitize the still. But there was rum, and then I think I did a vodka where I did...
so it got a bit of that mix. But it's actually very nice.
It is.
Nice.
That's the sort of smell that
you want to go for. Yeah, it's very nice and toffee-like.
But that's on the higher side of the AVB. And I can also smell the the very volatile alcohols.
Yeah, because it hits.
Kind of hits you in the
a little
nose,
bit
and that's kind
pungent,
of why I haven't screwed the lids down overnight. So I just left them loose on top, so that some of those can escape. But if anything,
this is quite high.
I might leave that one off.
Why? That one's got the lovely. Do we still have a little bit of toffee on this one?
Smell that. It's completely different.
Use the coffee to wash out my nose.
Yeah, neutralize your nose.
Yeah, and then go in.
So, just because if that was
so this is less. This is way less than that. Character changed immediately.
Completely. So, because that's probably going to be more headsy than anything.
Yeah.
And I'm tending to think just to leave that one out of the equation.
It also could be. It also depends how long you'd let it sit after that. You could go for character-wise, like a small percentage there.
Could do.
Yeah. And then we got our jug here.
Then we can taste some of these as well. We use it to sterilize. It's pretty much 70%, so we can sanitize with it too.
Slanjava.
And if maybe I should have rinsed the glass out.
Pure, eh? I can still get it.
But even though that's new make, it's definitely whiskey-ish, right?
Yeah. Definitely whiskey.
68%.
Definitely, it has a. This is before distilling, guys, and it before aging it definitely has a.
All those characters are for sure there.
As I was saying, the other episode, the grain literally would give it its sweetness from the type of sugars that are coming out of that grain.
Yeah.
At 68 is not bad, eh?
No.
It's absolutely not bad.
Yeah.
It's like almost cask strength, and this is before aging, which tells us it's gonna be really good.
Now we get quite a quick drop from 2 to 3. It went from 68 to 60. I think this is kind of down to me messing with the still, to be honest. Normally, I, as I was explaining earlier, I run the still in PID mode, which is kind of like cruise control.
Do you know what just happened when I sipped the coffee?
Yeah.
Have you been to Limnos? They have this Irish coffee that they make there.
Oh,
that Vietnamese coffee.
I had that too.
The dark chocolate one with the whiskey. Literally, as I tasted this, and then I put the coffee.
I also.
It literally. I was like, hey, wait a minute, we have Irish coffee? I thought we were having coffee. It literally is Irish coffee.
Yeah, kind of what I did is I switched the still, just I sought an opportunity to play a bit from PID mode into SCR mode, where basically I'm not using the intelligence of the whole PID, which is the whole temperature controlling mechanism for the guys listening. I switched it into manual mode, where I can literally dial in the percentage of power
that you want
on the elements
as you're going. Yeah.
And I, for me, I hadn't kind of played around with that too much. So I did that over here.
Oh, that's why. So we went 68.
Yeah, down to 60.
Like a
so
whole 8%.
Brought it right down to like 20% power, and then started cranking it up until I started getting a nice sort of drip out the still.
Yeah, because so from there it's 60, 58. Yeah. This is like 222. Yeah. Boom.
So that could have been that over there, but I mean, sort of digging your nose in there. I also started taking more in the jars at this point.
And the less, and the less alcohol percentage is now, it's way smoother on the nose.
Yeah.
It's just
much
better.
Yeah.
This is nice.
So now, because we're pot stilling at sort of 58% or even down to 50%, we've got half water and character
Happening.
of the wash, which was the sort of peated grains and all of that, coming through more and more and more as we sort of
As you go down, yeah.
But what we
I'm
can do,
definitely a fan at 60 and 50.
yeah. So let's take
That one.
what
I'll rinse it out. That was 68, yeah. Yeah, that was 68.
So we should kind of dilute this with a touch of water, which will bring out all the. The sort of the whiskiness of it is coming out a lot more
Yeah.
in that.
Very like, see, on the finish, now
Yeah.
I get the smoke.
Yes.
On the finish, now I get the peat.
Yeah.
Very like, but this one is very like moonshiny.
I guess so. It's kind of, it's just a white spirit at this stage.
Very
It's
nice
had
on some
no
moonshine.
age, it's had no smoothing off, no. I mean, time-wise, it's about 24 hours later. It's been breathing. I've left the lids off, so just so that it can breathe a bit and
Very moonshiny.
control.
Very moonshiny.
Yeah, this is the wort after the distill. I just kind of left
The
some
leftovers,
out, so
just
the
have a look
colour
here.
of it, and still sort of smells quite grainy and yeasty. I tasted some earlier. It's
Yeah.
quite sour,
With this
not
is
sweet.
add some sugar into that and it becomes yeah. What would happen if someone added some honey and sweeten it up and it's not ginger ale. Add some ginger to it and
There you go.
boil it with the tea bags and it's some sort of form your own tea from it.
Yeah. So let's just pour it all through here.
Yeah. That
We
was
could
really
probably do it through some coffee filter paper, but yeah.
15. We said we're going full on 48, yeah?
Yeah. I think everything in between.
Okay. It's pure alcohol, guys.
Essentially, what it's doing is measuring the density of the liquid. Alcohol is less dense than water, and it's all just about calibration. So we have the same instrument for working with beer. In fact, I measured the gravity of this stuff before we started fermenting it.
Yes.
And it had a gravity of about 1070. As the sugars get eaten by the yeast and it comes down to more or less the density of water, the brewing hydrometer levels off at 1. So 1 is the density of water.
Yes.
This at 0 is water.
At 0 is okay. So then, as it goes up, builds up into.
And just by the weight and everything, because this is a mixture of essentially of water and alcohol.
Yeah. And if you, so when you let it go, it's just below 50.
Yeah. Here's the calibration marks.
So we could say just 50.
So there's the 50 mark,
Yeah.
and I think it's just
55.
yeah.
It's dancing around 55. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to not have it bob around too much.
Yeah. A lovely blend now.
Actually, that's not half bad. I'm surprised.
I'm loving the smoke. Just a little.
Go for it. So hopefully that should bring out some of the.
There we go.
some of the aromas.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Nice. Oh. This is a really good whiskey, guys. Before it's even aged. It's going to be a really good whiskey. I have faith in this one. I mean, for a first time, this is brilliant.
I'm more happy that it seems like it might be drinkable.
It is, eh?
Cool. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Some Irish coffee.
Yeah.
Hold it up so it can get a bit of airflow around it, otherwise it bubbles.
To the last drop.
We want to keep all the
That's oh, it's beautiful, eh? Oh,
Ideally, this should be stainless steel, but I haven't been able to find one here.
oh yeah.
This is at least proper food grade, but I've never seen a glass version of that, and
Some
I
lab
need to
somewhere.
think what it will cost. Just based on past experience now, in terms of the amount that we're going to add, I reckon about 4 tablespoons
4 tablespoons of
of
combined.
we're going to choose.
Okay.
That's about the amount that I've added to the rums that I've made, which
Which
gave
yeah,
some nice colour
and a very nice smooth
yeah.
finish and
Yeah.
after.
Yeah. So, in terms of, this is where we can choose in terms of flavors that we want to add.
That you
So
wanna
the
give
lighter you get sort of some nutty flavors and oaky flavors from the lighter side of the roasting,
which is yeah.
up to vanilla and sort of toffee flavors from the darker
caramel.
side of the equation. Maybe 2 tablespoons of the lighter end and 1.5 from the darker end. What do you think?
Yeah. So you're saying 1, 2?
Yeah, let's
Or
leave the
two.
spice one
Okay,
because that's
okay.
a mix.
Okay.
So let's
2,
stick to this sort of proper. So just
2, 1, 1, 1.
yeah, for the guys listening, what you can do instead of using a barrel, you can get oak chips. So these are chipped off through cross sections of
The inside
roasted
of the barrel.
French oak.
Yeah.
I know it's not American oak. I don't. Yeah, this is
Preach
French.
American
It's-
oak.
Yeah,
French oak.
It's French oak.
Okay. Okay. It's a French oak made in Cape Town whiskey. You know.
So yeah,
Cool.
let's chuck in 2 of those.
Cool. So let's do that. That's all those flavors coming out. That's where
Some color.
some colors
So
going.
half cream and
Cool.
just for the sake of color.
All right, we'll check back in every week, every now and then, and we'll let you know when it's
Yeah.
ready.
I'll see if I can't kick one of the cycles off today still.
Yeah, I think give it some. Let it just give it.
It
some,
needs to chill as
yeah,
well.
let's give it a week just
We've
to-
blended it all. It's been through the still, so the actual alcohol itself
Yeah.
and the water that's in there and everything just needs to all gel and come together. And from what I've read, people talk about a period of just letting it chillax now for
Yeah.
about 5 weeks
Just let it sit.
for that just to kind of settle down.
Yeah, it's about a month,
Yeah.
and then month-old craft whiskey. This has been a lovely ride, eh? Not over yet. Not over yet. We're still going.
We're still there. Getting there.
Amazing.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Look at the it's like reddish plum. Yeah, it's got a little bit darker than I was expecting, but I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong. I mean, it's looking a lot darker than it would be in the bottle because it's just the deep, which is kind of from making the rum. I also was like, wow, that's dark, but when I put it in the bottle,
smaller bottle, then
it doesn't seem quite so dark. So, yeah, so this is about 53%, and I've worked out to bring it to 45, 46%, or kind of in between. We need 550 mils roughly of water, which is there. So what we can do it one of two ways. You want it?
Cask strength.
Cask strength, literally. So that's been sitting, so I thought let's just give it a swirl and kind of wake it up.
Being cask strength.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that wasn't quite that much. It was a 3-ish. I've held back. All I've done is smelt it. I haven't tasted it, so this is new for me as much as it's new for you.
First day.
So, yeah. So, yeah, color in there. It doesn't quite look. Yeah,
it's dark. Yeah.
It's deceptive though. So it's probably a bit darker than usual. Looks pretty though.
Yeah. Very.
It's peaky on the nose. I'm gonna wait for you. Because if anyone's got some nose and tasting out of the two of us, it's you. It smells kind of right, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a cool dry sort of bourbon feature to it.
That's interesting because obviously there's zero corn or anything like that in there.
There's the smoke. Lime, you can smoke even.
Yeah, it's there.
As you swallow it, come out.
It doesn't necessarily kick you in the knees when it's going down either.
Not even.
Which is kind of what I was hoping for. I wanted something where I knew, like, the peat was there and it says hello and it's recognizable.
It's not scary.
Yeah.
No, the peat stuff can get you on the nose and take you out. Okay, now it's got a bit of air, spend some time in the air.
Almost initially you get sort of caramels and such like, and then the sort of peatiness kicks in.
It's like a chocolate that they sell at Woolies.
Is it that Lint Bleu de Sol one?
No, they've got their own range.
Okay.
Woolies got their own little range of chocolates. And there's one that's there that is very, it's nutty. Nutty. But it's salted crack something.
Okay.
Salted something. That's what I'm getting.
Does it to you taste like it's a 53% alcohol? But actually it's not that strong.
You should taste it again. I don't think you have to cut it down. No,
I was thinking to 46% is still.
I'm going to bring it down to 46. It can literally still just be cask strength. I mean, even look at the.
Yeah.
It's not very oily. It's not, you'd expect the chips being in there to be super oily. Let it hold up there for quite some time.
The legs on it.
Yeah, it drips quite quickly. You'd think.
I mean, what if we brought it down to say 50% or somewhere instead of 53? So it's sort of in the upper 40s, but not in the 50s. Okay, so let's just swirl this and so that it mixes.
Give it some time. Oh. Lovely Sunday sunlight.
Just hold it so it's all nice and crystal clear. So something that we do need to do is maybe just get the oak out of it.
Well, what have you got?
So that I'd say that is the wind's blowing it. I'd say either 48 or 49. I'd go with it. Yeah. I don't think dilute more.
No, I don't think it needs it. I mean, it doesn't.
It's
No,
not
it
like
doesn't.
offensive on your palate or anything like that because of its ABV.
And will its character change as you keep it?
More,
If we dilute it down a bit more, yeah.
Well, not even that. It's more spent being oxidated. Characters, so it starts to. And obviously temperature.
I think it's pretty damn good, James. You didn't fuck it up too badly.
Apparently not.
Look out, Baines.
Yeah. Well,
12 something is coming.
12 0.
First edition. Second edition will be even worse. Take them for everything.
I must say, if we kind of think back now, the fact that it took 16 kilos of
Yeah.
grain.
Long way on color, man.
Yeah.
Long.
I'm staggered that you can get so far so quickly with just like some wood chips.
And a bit of cheating.
And yeah, like the heating and cooling stuff.
Yeah. That whole heat cool thing.
Would play the part.
Let a few people taste it. The color's nice, man. Feedback's been nice with the color there. It's not that. Yeah, it's darker. It was lighter than before. Really, that was. Slanjava, yeah, you know. It's had some time to chill out a little bit after the brutal process of making it. Oh, something, hey? This is impressive, eh? Something. Very nice.